Welcome to That Davis Show. My name is Kenneth Davis. You can follow me at That's Davis on all social media platforms. Always fortunate enough to be joined by executive producer of That Davis Show and everything else, Ryan Pukavetsky. Follow him at Ryan B. Ski and Ryan B. Ski 1. Look, first off, we got to kick it off with the Bears' first preseason game at
Bear down, baby!
This past Saturday versus the Kansas City Chiefs. The Bears won Bears beat the Kansas City Chiefs 14-19. My bad.
Yeah, it was great. They played on the beaches of Lake Michigan, right? They weren't actually at the
sandy beaches of Lake Michigan.
You haven't seen the new Top Gun, right?
No, not yet.
There's a scene where they're playing football on the beach. I got flashbacks of that movie when I was watching the Bears preseason game, seeing all that sand come up.
Didn't they do that in the first Top Gun too?
No, they did sand volleyball. This was their remake of the sand volleyball scene.
Well, also on that note, I saw a tweet from NBC Sports Bears beat writer Alex Shapiro where he tweeted out that Soldier Field will be resided before the first regular season game, since that buffoonery. And I mean, people can put it on Lori Lightfoot, but it's been around since before her. And I'm by no means am I defending her. It's just when we want to take the action, it's like this has been a problem forever with the Park District here. And it's just ridiculous, particularly when it's someone's workspace. And I'm referring to not just the Bears, but the opposing team also. It's ridiculous that people have to come and risk harm while you're already out playing risking harm.
I know they did like that field study, but I'm amazed that by now, because we've been talking about field issues since at least the new edition. What was that, like 03?
Right.
And
I'm with you.
You
think
the Park District or the Bears, somebody would be like, hey, are we done resodding this shit every 5 minutes? And that's what I was shocked to hear, that the sod, did you hear about this? Why the sand?
Mm-mm.
They switched sod companies. The ones before used to have like the dirt or whatever, and then they found out this sand helps out preserving the grass more or whatever. So they switched sodders. And it's like, you're just switching around grass. Just put field turf and you don't have to worry about anything anymore.
I was on What's Up Cuz, shout out to Jason and Lance yesterday, and Jason mentioned Roger Bossert, the great field master for the White Sox, and we know his family, his dad, I think even his grandfather, and how he goes around the world, and you have him in city, and you don't use him to try to figure out a way to make it better. Like, it may not be able to get it perfect and sustain it, but not a way to make sure that the irrigation, you know what I'm saying, so the moisture clumps doesn't pop. Like, you would think it would make sense, but that's, I mean, to be honest with you,
Sodfather, you got any tips?
Right, it's Chicago in a nutshell. You have someone that can actually perhaps fix a problem, but there's too much.
He's literally named Sodfather, the godfather of grass.
Too much bureaucracy to actually get it done. So look, I usually go off of what the first team did, what the score was, who the victor was. I'm not going to do that as much with this first preseason game. All right. One, the Bears having a new head coach, new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, and also a team with elite Super Bowl standards in Kansas City, a team that's been to 4 AFC championship games in a row. They're on 2 different levels and operating at 2 different levels, all right, to say the least. So after, of course, Patrick Mahomes went out and after Justin Fields went out, Kansas City was up, but the Bears, with their second and third stringers came back and scored 19 points. Kansas City scored another touchdown. The thing that stood out to me first, let me talk about the first stringers. I thought Justin Fields was straight, better than that, a little better than average, a little bit, because I hold him to a high standard. I thought I'll give him a little better, but I need to see more. You know what I'm saying? But that also comes from him having a clean pocket. And we'll talk about that
than
pocket.
Last year to you, right?
They look like, and this is the crazy, they look like they may have known what they were doing.
Well, specifically with him, I agree with them. But do you think like Justin looked better?
Yeah. Definitely. I'll tell you this. just the lack of hesitation on the 10-yard run scramble, where there were times where he was hesitant, and sometimes there's an open lane, take it. You know what I'm saying? Like especially while you're still young. Now, I'm not telling you to run into a defender. I'm talking about open space, take it. You are athletic. That's a chunk of yards that you can get to keep the sticks moving. It's a positive measurement for the team. Always take it. You know what I'm saying?
Just slide and get down, young man. Enough of these like sitting up slides.
I'm with you, but that wasn't the traditional bad Justin slide, in my opinion.
I agree.
Because like usually he does the baseball second base slide where he's popping back up. And, like he's not even sliding and staying down. He's sliding and popping back up, and that's why he's getting tagged a little bit. This one was the defender didn't pull up. Like that was another case of he's not being protected. Hopefully this year, and he should be protected regardless. He's a quarterback. But hopefully through his play, he starts to get the respect that he deserves, where if anybody gets close to him as a flag. But that one wasn't him. Because last year, it was some issues with how clean his slides were. They always scared me to a certain degree, his sliding. But you had the two passes. You had the over-the-back throw to Mooney, which was excellent. You had the Tarzay Sharp pass while taking a hit.
I thought that was a pick six. I couldn't believe that.
Yeah, that one. Nice. So that when you see that, but it's just seeing more. You know what I'm saying? That I have to do before I'm just like all rose-colored glasses. And I believe me, I want rose-colored glasses for this young man. But I don't want.
If anybody forgot, Ken and I have been talking about Justin Fields since he transferred from Georgia. How good we like this dude.
Dude, we won't even get into all of that because if we've been going through our Trey Lance infatuation because because we couldn't get Justin, right? It was like, well, we can't get Justin, so can we get this kid that's right here to place at this lower level?
He's close.
Right. So like yes, we've wanted Justin Fields in a Bears uniform. I predicted prior to the draft the Bears was going to do whatever they needed to actually get them. They actually did it. And that's also partially because some teams weren't as high as on him, and I think they'll feel they've made a mistake. The fact that they didn't pick him up when they had the opportunity to pick him up, teams like Detroit, teams like Carolina, so on and so forth, right? But still, he looked better than I put it like this: he looked like he's continuing where he was towards the end of last season, and I believe he may have a better coach now in Luke Getsy. You know what I'm saying?
I think so too.
So
at least they're covering more of the fundamentals and the basics of the entire offensive arsenal that teams have in the NFL. When you're hearing things like, oh, we didn't practice scrambling drills, or we didn't really care about situational football. It's just Matt Nagy obsessed with this playbook type thing. And so it's nice to hear some of these basics. And I feel like with Justin, just like you said, nothing crazy, but it was nice just seeing him flash a little bit more regularly versus last year where it was like, if you saw a flash, you were lucky almost.
Right. So I'm with you. The pocket wasn't as clean with the first string. I will say this. I loved the run concepts, and they're not really going to show us a lot anyway, but they were running with purpose rather than, okay, it's time to throw in a run. It was running with the purpose of trying to, one, of course, get positive yards, but also trying to set something up. So that alone brings positive feelings towards the offense, but it's still going to take a minute for this offense to gel. There's still a lot of receivers that are dinged up. So, I mean, think about it. We still haven't seen Byron Pringle,
Velus Jones.
Equiminius. You know what I'm saying? We haven't seen them out there yet, so it'll be interesting.
N'Keal Harry, too. That was my guy in the draft. I was kind of like, ooh, let's see what happens. And hearing that he was flashing in camp and then gets that high ankle sprain, I'm like, damn.
It was like this in camp.
I really liked him coming out of college. I thought New England got a steal in the first round. I could be totally off. I've definitely been off on plenty.
Are you? That one, I mean, right now it's totally off.
Yes.
I mean, if Josh McDaniels and
but there's still just a little bit of time for him to turn it around.
Maybe, but if you just think about if Josh McDaniels and Bill Belichick couldn't get a lot out of you.
Yeah, they are.
I mean, and they drafted you, so it's not like they
Maybe
don't care.
in 10 years we'll be talking about Eberflus and Bowles like that. Like, damn, they got N'Keal Harry. You know they're going to turn him around.
Yeah, I mean, and the worst part about that, of course, with him having to go have surgery with Dr. James Andrews and being out to perhaps week 8 or something like that, I believe. And I mean, you got to think, then he has to get conditioned. You know what I'm saying? Like, he still has to know the playbook. I mean, he can still learn the plays now while he's out, but still. So he never got a chance to develop true chemistry. But anyway, getting back to this game, you had the Peterman and Trevor Siemian doing their things, right? Which
I got a question for you. What'd you think of Braxton Jones?
I think it's a trial by fire, and as of right now, I like his character, but it's like y'all are doing the most. To be honest with you, it's like if you're pulling a straight play from Ryan Pace's playbook right here. Like, yes. This is my 5th rounder. I'm gonna show you I'm gonna show you how to do this, son. Like, you are like, and I mentioned this on Under Center. I was like, dude, I'm like, and I try to put myself in other people's shoes to try to view how they're viewing something that's taking place or happening to them, right? And this is how I felt about Larry Borom and Tevin Jenkins, because it's like, damn, I'm not your dude, but you gonna bring this 5th round and give him a shot,
right?
It's like, so
it's not even shot; it's like locked down at this point,
right?
Game
and
over.
It's like, dude, so I mean, just think, they truly can't feel they're getting a legitimate shot. Now, for anybody that doesn't know, this upcoming game Thursday night in Seattle, Larry Borom will be the starting right tackle as of right now, and Tevin Jenkins will be the starting right guard. All right, so we will get to see them. Riley Reif is going to have a game off for the preseason, so we'll get to see how they work. Now, listen, if it come to find out y'all got a lot of decent linemen, that's a positive,
right?
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, that's a positive. If you find out that Braxton Jones can be good, we're now early on decent, that Tevin Jenkins can be good and Larry Borom can be decent. I'm only saying that from the draft stock of where they were drafted. You know what I'm saying? 2 5th rounders and a 2nd rounder who some people expect to be a 1st round pick in Jenkins. Look, that's a kudos.
You can do a lot with 5 guys that are average at the offensive line. You can do a lot.
As long as they work as a unit. So I'll be interested in that, but still, we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But getting back to this game, I did like some of the pressure you saw from Dominique Robinson.
Yeah.
Travis Gibson.
My Mark Anderson, baby. Come on down. 10 sacks rookie year. Let's go, baby.
And I think we all just love us a little Tonga. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm always here for a little bit of
Tonga.
Dog, you give me an Islander up the gap. I'm always here for a little bit of
7th rounder that can't be moved off the line. I'm here for it all day.
I mean, all day long. So, and Nick, I feel like the defense, and again, this has been second and third stringers. I mean, Brisker shined.
Yeah.
Jaquan Brisker.
I like Jaquan a lot.
You saw the depth and perhaps what you have in a Jack Sanborn, right?
That guy, I don't know what to think about that guy. That guy played one hell of a game, and he is definitely showing up as an undrafted free agent. You're going to keep some undrafted free agents. You always do. This guy looks prime.
Oh, it's not even a chance he's going. So he had 5 tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 1 pass defended, 1 interception, 1 fumble recovery, and 2 special team tackles, and one of those was inside the 5.
Yes, like a sick ass.
He brought this. Yeah, it was nasty nice at how he brought him down. Right, like this is what you need with depth, because your linebacker's gonna get hurt. Right, so you're gonna need someone who can play, knows the system, and you need guys who can play special teams and be depth guys.
Plus, you got Roquan Smith. Well, I mean, he's gonna play because he's not gonna miss game check. But who the hell knows with his strategy? You might need that.
He's traveling third. This is gonna get done, basically, because I'm sure Ryan Post has let him know I will franchise the hell out of your ass next year. All right.
And I can do it the year after if you want.
Right. And now it may get to the point where you don't want to pay an off-ball linebacker that much, particularly when you could have been just paying him right now. But when I have you this year and next year, sign the contract, sooner or later, reason has to set in. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I feel like they already gave him the sit in rather than the hold out, the hold in rather than the hold out, right? He's traveling with the team to Seattle. They're trying not to be asses to him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, by me saying this, I am not saying to Roquan Smith, sign whatever they're offering you, brother. Get your bread. But it may come to a point that you may not be able to totally set the market. You know what I'm saying? Like, but
and to your point, with the Bears cowabunga that's coming up, where they have unlimited funds, maybe you say, "Hey, we can give you a franchise tag. We'll figure it out in the offseason around your contract. We're not scared. We can afford a franchise tag."
Plus, actually, if you tag them, that's just a hold on them to perhaps come to within the contract before the season begins, right? So. Again, the point that I was getting to, imagine seeing Robert Quinn and Roquan out there with these guys.
Yeah.
You know,
and with Kyler Gordon.
No Kyler Gordon. Exactly. No Kyler Gordon. You know what I'm saying? Just dude, Nick Morrow showing up in gaps crazy. Yeah. I think this I said I thought this defense could be top 12 on under center. I'll tell you this. Matthew Berry said to me they should be top 10.
I think if they stay healthy, that's possible. But a lot of health, because we're going to talk about the second stringer, the third stringers. There's just not a lot of depth when you talk about that secondary. But if they can stay healthy, you can see some of the pieces. Jalen Johnson, if Kyler Gordon's really this animal in like the nickel, the slot, you have probably enough to fill the other outside. I really think with Brisker, Eddie Jackson's going to give you the best season he's had since his great season. Doesn't mean it's going to be Pro Bowl worthy or anything like that, but I think you're going to notice a much better Eddie Jackson this year than you've seen in at least a couple seasons.
I hope so. I don't want to lie to myself and tell myself that's what's going to happen. I think it should. I'm with you. I believe it should be, right?
I just think it will. I think he's too good of a player to just be awful bad. Maybe he's not that good of a player to be an Ed Reed favorite at safety or anything like that. I think there's room in the middle for him, and it's really scheme dependent. But I feel like this scheme is going to be exactly what he needs.
Your dog is snoring his ass off. But I'm with you.
At 3:30 in the morning when he wakes me up.
I mean, especially if you have somebody like Brisker who's willing to risk life and limb out there laying wood, but also showing coverage instincts. And it's small, it's minute. But I mean, these dogs, they picked up 2 nice little DBs in the draft.
Yes, I agree.
That's just the facts. And if
right now it looks like they got 2 starters, like flat out starters. You can't, and if you got Braxton Jones as your legit ass 5th round left tackle. Damn, you built a draft. Like, that's a draft right there.
All right. Yeah. Because one, and this has been a running gag between me and Josh Schrock. When he first got here, he didn't see the draft. And I explained it more on the UC the other day. I thought Tristan Ebner was going to get a real good shot. Right. And he thought he was going to get cut.
like him a lot.
He thought he was going to get cut. And I broke this down actually on why I like Tristan Ebner a lot. I thought Tristan Ebner was the running back version of Velus Jones when they drafted him. And I don't mean speed as much as Velus Jones being a receiver who can do things in the backfield, Tristan Ebner being a running back who can do things in the passing game, but closer because in size and stature. You know what I'm saying? I thought this offense was going to use those type of guys. So that's why I thought when I saw Tristan Ebner's highlights, like, yeah, I could see him fitting in with this or whatever. And I could see him being a change of pace back too with the speed that he has. And we also saw a little bit of ferocity to go along with him. But yeah,
I could easily see him taking over Khalil Herbert's spot.
I was about to say, yeah.
Because Herbert, as great as he could be potentially as a runner, he's just not a natural pass catcher. Ebner, he's like that utility, third down, like perfect complement to David Montgomery.
Totally. So look, this you could.
How about the punter too? How about the punter? I want to give the punter a little love.
Dude, listen.
I remember I was watching him take his first punt.
Getting back to this draft could be a little bit of something, particularly without a first-round pick. You're right. When you just put Gill in there too, I got to go with you. You're right. If Velus Jones is straight,
right, and Tyler Gordon is straight,
dog. If Braxton Jones, look, I'm not even gonna set the bar high. If he finishes the season and gives up 4 sacks,
if he can be Charles Leno, how about that? Maybe a little bit better than Charles.
Which
one of the good years.
Not the penalty year, not the year like 2019. Where it was like, damn, son, you ain't even have to know.
No, we're talking below Pro Bowl alternate. Below Pro Bowl alternate.
You didn't even have to hear the number of the player who false started. You knew that it was Charles Leno Jr. If he can be serviceable, you may have serviceable. You may have you, especially for a little draft. Especially not going in having only 4 picks or 5 picks when they first went in there.
Yeah, it was like 5 picks.
Dropped 5 picks, and then
they had the 2 2s. They didn't have a 3.
They had the 1 2. Remember, they got the second one from Khalil Mack.
Yeah. Well, okay, yes, before the Khalil Mack trade, and then they had like 2 5s or something like that. They had a 4 and 2 5s, and then
4 and 2 5s. So they had like 5 picks. And so look, again, the depth showed out a little bit, but it was playing against other teams' low primary players too. So I can't sit here and bullshit you. You know what I'm saying? But it did look like there was some quality depth that you can use and foresee playing decent throughout this season, but it's still early. We don't know enough about Matt Eberflus as a head coach. We don't know enough about Alan Williams as a defensive coordinator, and the same goes for Luke Getsy as the first-time primary play caller on offense. Same can be played for Williams being the first-time play caller on defense. So we still don't know enough to really give a pass to any of this, but I saw what I thought was a good reason to hire Matt Eberflus. They looked organized.
Yeah.
They looked like they knew what they were doing. There wasn't penalty stricken.
The challenge worked. And it made
not the challenge work, not clock possession being straight, right? Just
no false starts, no. Is the play coming in?
Right.
What's the play?
Exactly.
What's the play?
Exactly. So, dude,
I think that was the most exciting part about the preseason. It's exactly what you said. It's way too early. Don't put any investment. But when you see a rookie class that this new regime is putting so much obvious placement on, they're putting their eggs in these draft class baskets, and to see that many guys sort of flash or look like NFL caliber players, that's exciting. That's really exciting.
I mean, and just think about this. Now, I'm going to go into the future. If let's just say you win 7 games this year, I'm going to be nice. And you still end up with the 9th pick in the draft, something like that, right? In this draft where, forget just Stroud and Young, it's like 4 other quarterbacks. There's going to be probably 2 to 3 that make it in the first round in this upcoming draft, right? So,
and if you're saying 2 to 3, there might be even another 4 or 5 because of how desperate the league is.
Desperate team, exactly. And now you're in a situation where hopefully Justin proves you don't need a quarterback. Not to say you would use this to pick in this year anyway, but you're like, we're solid. We can even move down so we can acquire more draft capital. And the only real thing you have to worry about in the first 2 rounds, particularly I would hope the first round, is going out and getting an elite wide receiver. And then you're doing best player at available. And
especially if Cole Kmet shows up as a tight end this year.
Right, even though they should still go out and get a straight U guy.
Yes.
All right, you can't block. It's okay. Can you run up the seam as fast as possible? Right?
Can you be about 6'10" and very fast?
Exactly.
We can use that.
It doesn't matter. You can be Stokely. You can be 6'1". Can you get open? And are you a little thick? Right? Come on, let's go.
Post up some guys.
Right.
You haven't played basketball, son.
I mean, again, now, of course, this is all hope springs eternal.
But seriously, though, can we live in that just for 1 minute? My dream, you know how obsessed we are with the draft, and you have to be as a Bears fan. It's your only Super Bowl, basically. Just to see, Bears pull off a trade, get 3 first-round picks and a couple thirds, and it's just damn! I've never seen that. I've seen them basically do everything else in the draft. I've never seen them get a haul. before. That would be just amazing.
It would. It's to go along again. We don't but with what we would believe is trending as a competent front office. Because the problem with the Bears, if they did have a haul, you worried about who was doing the selecting.
Yes.
Right?
True.
Oh man, they got 3 first rounders. He may hit
great.
on one.
Ryan Pace has got 3 first rounders in a draft where it's all athletes and you don't know how many football players you got. Yikes.
Exactly. So if these guys, and I'm talking about Ryan Posey and Cunningham, if they're competent, and not better than competent, good at their jobs, and you're giving them that many bite at the apples with cheaper labor compared to on their rookie deals.
And you're talking the blue chippers towards the front.
Yeah, that's how you start to really build a team that can go and compete for a long period of time, which we haven't been able to do here since the 80s. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah,
and
so
I get
like
the whole don't waste Justin Fields' rookie contract, but I feel partly that it's not as big of a deal just because of the cap relief that they have going on. And if you're just stimulating with cheap wages, you can eat a big contract of a quarterback.
I'll tell you this, to be honest with you. I hope they have a real good idea about Justin going into next year. Because
do you think they kind of have it now, though?
I don't know.
They kind of have it now.
Dog, Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert's contracts are going to be ridiculous.
Yes, they are.
And that means that anybody getting a contract after them is going to be extremely ridiculous, right? And it'll be like, I will hope they would know before those 2 guys signed, like, Justin, let me holler at you real quick. Now, mind you, Justin still has, that'll be his 3rd year. He still has 2 more years, right? Well, yes, 2 more years.
Yes, with the 5th-year option.
They would do the 5th-year option on him. But I would hope they would just try to get it out the way. And now it wouldn't be fortuitous for him to necessarily take it before those guys sign you. Because listen, that's the thing too with Baltimore. Like, okay, fuck around and wait till after they do not sign Lamar this year and wait till after some more quarterbacks sign and think about what y'all have to pay. And I know in the back of their minds they're like, we just afraid he may get hurt. He's still all you got. Right, that's like he's
great. You can't just throw away great quarterbacks like it's nothing.
Right, and at some point, somebody else, if he stays healthy enough, someone else is going to pay him and take a risk on him. You know,
hell
like
yeah.
Period.
If the Bears didn't have a quarterback and Lamar Jackson was on the free agent market, I'd say get him.
I would, but I'd be like, man, gear up to go for like a 3-year run because this kid's gonna get killed soon.
I'm with you.
It's just
I think with Justin Fields, though, the big thing is he has so many of the tantalizing intangibles, and I don't think any of it's fake. And he's so good at the mic already. Like, remember Jay at the mic? It took him years to just be shit ass from terrible beyond shit ass. Like, he never got good at the mic. He got a little bit better where it was like, okay, at least we're getting something instead of gobbledygook and just With Justin, he gets it, I feel like. And it's really just got to come down to play on the field. But even they, Ryan Poles, Ian Cunningham, have to know he doesn't have a ton of help here. So I wonder what they're looking at as true indicators of we're putting all our eggs in that basket and not even thinking about Bryce Young, let's say.
I think they're looking at, and this is something that we all said when Matty Bafus was hired, the defense is going to get going early, and if they can keep the offense or the team around, and I think by the end of the first quarter, after the first 4 games, that the offense can start putting up 20 points a game. You know what I'm saying? Regularly. To where that can go to 25, 20, 24, 27 points a game.
Right. Easy to just kind of convince yourself, hey, we had a little bit more help on the offensive line and some actual receivers. 20 might be 28.
I mean, this is the thing. What if they have a good running game this year?
Yeah. With play actually being utilized?
I'm talking about a real running, like a top 6, top 10 running game to where you're getting TDs off off the rip. You're coming off the bus with 14 points from rushing. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, if you can start there, and not when I say 14 yards, it may be a situation where it's a touchdown pass that gets the TD, but we know the rush is what got you into the red zone or into the red zone. You know what I'm saying? Like if you can start there, which is low level, this is basic rudimentary football. If you can start there and then add a passing TD to get to 21, then a field goal, let alone you mentioned Gill flipping the field crazy to where
how about
now,
a Bellis Jones kickoff returns?
Exactly. So if you can in all three phases make the game easier consistently, then now we're
what a novel concept. I feel like this is
Dean
Davis all over again.
This is
just play fundamental, easy, smart football, and a lot of stuff is going to take care of itself.
This is a low-hanging bar. But look, let's go on into Thursday night's game in Seattle. What are your thoughts? What do you expect? It's a Seattle team. No longer has Russell Wilson there, so I'm not afraid of Geno Smith or lock. The defense may be a little bit weaker should be weaker without Wagner up the middle. So this to me isn't the same measuring stick, of course, as a Kansas City, but it's a competent front office and a competent head coach. And it would be good to see you beat them because Matt Eberflus has already said that some of the starters are going to play 6 to 10 plays, and some guys that get 20 snaps. By the 20th snap on offense, it'd be nice to see that the Bears have more points than the Seahawks. You know, so I was about to say the Supersonics, but then the Seahawks. It'd be nice
one
to see
day, hopefully.
I know, right? It'd be nice to see that take place. It's funny, real quick, side note, has nothing to do with this. What's the name that used to play for the Bulls? Jamal Crawford. Jalen Rose asked him if he could be in the Hall of Fame or bring a basketball team back to Seattle, which one would it be? And he chose bringing back the Supersonics. He was like, it's too many kids that have never seen any Seattle basketball whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? The last kid saw was Kevin Durant, and those kids are grown. Like now, people don't understand. I mean, we're in the Midwest. Why do we care? Seattle's a basketball town, and it didn't matter. We all love the Supersonics, man.
Everybody loves the Supersonics. Who doesn't love the Supersonics? Come on.
I'm talking about before Gary Payton was Gary Payton. Talking Ricky Pierce, Detlef Shrimp, Dale Ellis. I mean, I don't have to talk about the Ram. I'm talking about just all. They used to Sam Perkins. They used to be loaded, right? They were like Portland when Pippen was there. How they had like Steve Smith. Brian Grant, Rasheed, Dana Stoudemire, like they were. That's how the early to mid, like 93. That's how the Supersonics was almost loaded. You know what I'm saying? Names may not have been as heralded. Xavier McDaniels came from it. Like they used to have some talent over those teams before Gary Payton became Gary Payton. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, back here to the Bears versus the Seahawks. Bears should definitely win with the starters in my opinion. And I want to see Justin win in the air a lot, but I know they can't show us everything, particularly the plays that are going to be your bread and butter plays. But I want to see Muggs be demoralized by the running game. I want to start seeing you got 3 running backs back there that we know of right now. I want to start seeing in the fourth quarter, and this isn't preseason as much because you're changing players in, so these players are fresh. I'm talking about in the regular season. I want to start seeing cats demoralized because David Montgomery is coming downhill at that ass, and it's like, not again. I don't want to tackle him right now.
Oh, here's this Tristan Ebner all of a sudden where it's scat back.
That's what I want to see. I want to see punishment. All right. People to like offensive lineman does not want to take steps back every second of the game. He too wants to attack. All right. He too wants
I want to
get
see
out.
Tevin Jenkins go along with what you're saying.
I want to see that nasty coming around.
I want to see that nasty out there.
I want to see Tevin Jenkins pulling left, right? With the DB or a linebacker off the left tackle and not seeing him. And then there's big ass Tevin Jenkins, light skinned self coming right down on you. You know what I'm saying? That's what I want to start seeing. I want to see that. Fun. I want to see physical football. Like look at what the 49ers do. Now we get on them about health. We get on them about health, but you played them. Like when I was a kid, we may only have 25 guys active on the roster, right? Some guys playing Ironman football, but every coach would say, our players were in the training room after playing y'all. Like you knew you played us when you played us because we was laying some wood down. I want to see that where a Bears team, win, lose, or draw, the physicality is always there. And I hope that's what Matt Eberflus is bringing on both sides of the ball, let alone speed. But I'm starting to get amped up here, man. I'm going to get amped up for a team, a team that I don't have going to the playoffs. And that's
right. We
okay.
were selling them down the river.
They still may be down the river, but we still know the positive things that we can see. Because there's still holes on this team, not as much defensively, but we still don't know the pressure that the front seven can get. I'm gonna be keyed in on Justin Jones this year. I'm gonna be keyed in on Travis Gibson this season. Yes. I don't think Robert Quinn is going to have that much slippage from last year. And that we people would be like, well, you had Khalil Mack, so people had to play on the side. It was a lot of games. Khalil Mack wasn't there,
right.
And they couldn't stop Robert Quinn alone. I think I said
he's not. He doesn't need a bookend. I remember Olin Cruz. He talked about the offensive lineman conference that he went to, and one of the biggest pass rushers that they discussed was Robert Quinn because of his excellent shot move.
Yeah, and his bend, like this dude basically
he's running on his ankles on the shot move. Yes, exactly.
So yeah, dude, I'd like if they get pressure up front, it's gonna be an interesting year.
I hope exactly what you're talking about, that the pieces you have right now, we're really talking shutting down the run, first and second down. Then you bring in a Dominic Robinson on the bookend of Robert Quinn, and maybe move Travis Gibson inside. Right.
Is Al-Quadin Muhammad more than a role player like he was at the Colts? If he can
remember the NASCAR package?
Right.
With the Giants? That's what I'm thinking.
Dog, if you could sit there and you brought now the proper depth, Al-Quadin Muhammad can come in, and we know it's the run side primarily is how you think of that side, but brings in 8 sacks, 9 sacks. Robert Quinn goes out there, gets 12, 13, 14 sacks. Justin Jones gets up in there, gets about 7, 8 sacks. Dude, that's a lot of trouble. Right. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot. That's a lot. That's not even talking about Brisker coming in off the nickel package. You know what I'm saying? Or Tevin Young or whatever you're going to do.
Or what you get out of Dominic Robinson if he does turn into a Mark Anderson freak.
So again, now this is all rose colored.
Yes.
All right. But it's rose colored because I hate to
you saw something because
they look confident. They actually look confident.
We saw something. It doesn't mean Super Bears, Super Bowl, but we saw something. How long have we been dying to see a lot of the things that we saw from the Matt Nagy or from this game? From
2019. That's when it started. That's when it became clear that this isn't probably going to work. If you were honest with yourself, this isn't going to work. You know what I'm saying? Because that's when I used to be. I thought Matt Nagy could do it.
I thought so too.
And I like the hype. That's when the truth started to show through that no, he can't. And then I never was a Mitch guy, but I thought you could win with Mitch, which the Steelers may do. You know what I'm saying? I thought you could win with Mitch.
He could be a Ryan Tannehill.
Going into 2019. Going into 2019, I thought you could perhaps win with Mitch. I don't know. I didn't think you could win a Super Bowl, but I thought you can get into the playoffs and make a little noise. After that, I didn't. But again, how much is that? Is my
only took that year.
That year was when it hit the fan where you knew like, oh, okay. And then the following year, you bring in Robert Quinn thinking, okay, now at least we may have these 2 guys and the defense is going to kick back up. And Robert Quinn has the worst year of his career, basically. You know what I'm saying?
Khalil Mack just starts the downturn.
Right? With the injuries. Yeah, so it's just one of those things where confidence, unfortunately, when you're a fan base that hasn't been getting a lot from your team, it makes you feel a little bit better than it should. You know what I'm saying? Because we haven't been getting
competence and the Bears don't usually go together.
It doesn't. It doesn't. And we should demand more. You know what I'm saying, Bears fans? We should demand more. So just to make sure we go over everything, Doug Kramer was placed on the injured reserve. Michael Joseph, Jason Stanley, and Javin White have all been waived. Told you about the starters. We let you know about Borum and Jenkins on the right side. And Brisker was a non-participant in practice. And this is from my guy, Josh Chirac from NBC Sports.
And it looks like Kyler Gordon could potentially start this game. He's at least somewhat on track. I think it's going to come down to his health game time.
There's a lot of guys on bikes and not practicing in practice the last week.
In a way, I don't hate that. I love the kind of Lovie Smith physical training camp all over again.
Where the whole first year everybody out because we ran them too hard.
Yeah,
I think we can be smarter than that to a degree.
I agree, but this is the year to do that kind of BS.
You're right.
If you're trying to tinker.
You're right. You are right. You are right. This is the year to go ahead and push them to the wall and make sure they know this is how we want you to practice, and then start pulling back because you hope that the locker room will patrol itself. You know what I'm saying? So I'm with you on that note. So
such with the Doug Kramer injury, just because I don't know about you, I'm souring on Sam Mustipher bad.
Man, you know, you just mentioned somebody who will jump all over you if you're talking about Sam Mustipher like that. You know what? If Lucas Patrick can get back by the second or third game, I think having a Sam Mustipher is a plus because you got a guy that can do a few different things, and it's a depth guy. It's him starting, but this is why you have depth guys, and this is also we giving all these bouquets away. We got to see if Lucas Patrick can really hold up.
Yeah, for sure.
Now being a full-time starter compared to being a fill-in guy, you know, we have to see that because at the question right now, you can't. You already out. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, we'll definitely see. Now, Kenneth Davis, have the Bears beating the Seattle Seahawks, and I mean early to where it's not the third team guys are bringing you to victory. I have them winning before the starters go out. What say you, Ryan?
I'm with you. I think this team is riding high after that Kansas City game, even though it wasn't the ultimate showing. But I think as a team, they're liking where they're at. They saw some of the fruits of their labor come through with a lot of guys at least, you know, looking like a professional NFL player and not a bunch of guys where you're like, how the hell did we end up with them? So I think, like you said, Seattle's going through this transition. They got a good coaching staff. They got a good front office. It will probably be a tougher game than people think. And probably the Seahawks will be a tougher team in general this year than people think. But they don't have enough talent. And the Bears, believe it or not, I feel like have more talent than the Seattle Seahawks. So I do expect that as well. I'm just hoping, honestly, we just see a little bit more building from that offensive line, a little bit more from the offense. The defense can kind of keep showing what it's showing, special teams looking solid. You feel good about the Bears at least being competitive for most of the season.
All right. Now, we're done. You don't want to do your Tyson Fury thing right now, right?
Right.
All right.
We'll save it.
All right. For Ryan Bukoveski and myself, we always appreciate it. Again, you can follow him at Ryan B. Ski. You can follow me at That's Davis. And as always, man, keep subscribing. Please listen. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. We'd appreciate it. And please be safe out there and don't do anything before you hear from us.